everyone, and welcome to my home. I'm Sònia, Gardés, one of the storytellers at the Village Storytelling Center, and it's a bit sad that we can't be doing our activities like normally, but it is very exciting to do it online and maybe get to reach out to more of you. So, I was wondering that maybe some of you are already missing the fresh air on your faces, and that's why our story starts in a very fresh place. Well, actually, maybe it's more like a very cold place. An iceberg. And on this iceberg lived the character of our story, a polar bear. The polar bear really loved life on the iceberg. Every morning she would wake up, do some stretching, and off she would go into the ocean. And once there, she would fish, and eat all the fish. And then she would be so full that she would just rest on the ice and have a lovely nap. One day, she'd had so much food that she fell asleep really deeply, and the sun was warming up in the sky, and the piece of ice where she was lying snapped, and off she went floating on the ocean. But she kept sleeping and snoring. The sun kept warming up the ice, which was becoming smaller and smaller under her, until splash! She fell into the sea, and she woke up and realized that all around her there was nothing else but horizon. She then started getting really panicky and swimming until she saw a little dot at the very end of her views and started swimming towards there, and the dot became bigger and bigger and had palm trees, and yes, it was an island. So she kept swimming until she made it to the beach, and once there, she relaxed and had a nice sleep. That night, she dreamt of weird places and warm weather and really hot suns. And as the sun itself was warming up the beach, she started waking up. So she opened one eye, and oh my God, she was gonna scream when she saw the weirdest creatures looking at her. It was looking like her, but the fur was very different. Yes, my friends, it was grizzly bears. So she was gonna scream, but the grizzly bears pointed at her, and all of them screamed at the same time, "Monster! She's a monster!" She then told them, "I'm not a monster, I'm just a polar bear." But they kept pointing, "Monster! You're a monster!" So she started running away and running, and she would turn back and say, "But I'm just a polar bear." And then she climbed up a tree, and she was holding very tight up there. But the bears, scared as they were, they started pushing and pulling the tree, and she was at the top trying to stay there until the branch she was holding on to snapped, and off she went, choff, and splashed into a puddle of mud behind the bush. The grizzly bears didn't know where the monster had gone, and she then appeared all covered in mud. The bears turned round to her and said, "Hey pal, where have you been? Did you see the monster?" And she then realized that they thought she was a grizzly bear. So she just improvised, "Oh yes, I saw the monster, scary monster, eh? Anyway, shall we forget about the monster and go grab some food?" And they were actually very hungry grizzly bears, so off they went. They started living together, and they never noticed that there was a polar bear within them. She had to do some things to get used to the life of grizzly bears. For instance, eating honey. Can you imagine what eating honey is for a polar bear that has never seen such a thing? A sticky yellow substance of weird smell. But She reached out with her paw on the first day and stuck her tongue out and, oh my God, honey, she'd never tried anything as sweet and lovely as that. So on the next day, she was putting both her paws in the honey and licking it, and they was dripping down her arms, and she would lick it and love it. Then one day, she said, "Hey, wait." And she went out without no one seeing and jumped in the sea and started fishing. Then she put all the mud over her again and came to her friends with all the fish, and they loved it. And that's how the summer went, and the autumn, and the winter. But then spring began, and with it, the first rain. So one day all the polar bears were outside. And as it was raining over them, the polar bear realized that all the mud was being washed off. And suddenly the grizzly bears pointed at her. "It's a monster! Catch the monster!" And she said, "No, it's me. But they kept screaming, "No, it's a monster!" and started running after her. And she ran around the island until she made it to the beach. And she said, "Just look at me." And she jumped into the sea and started fishing and came out with all the fish and said, "You see, it's me. It was always me." And they looked at the fish and said, "So all this time you've been a monster?" And she said, "No, I never was." Then they all went together and enjoyed each other's company. And one day, when they were at the beach, looking at the horizon, someone saw something shiny and small. "Hey, what's that?" And as it was becoming bigger and bigger, they saw that it was a piece of ice with a tiny white dot on top. And as it was getting closer, they saw that it was another polar bear that had fallen asleep on a piece of ice that had snapped off an iceberg. But this time, no one was scared. I hope you enjoyed the story. It's inspired in a book called The Boogie Monster, which is by David Williamson. And now, here comes the activity. And now, it's time for my secret. I usually tell this story in a different way than I did today. This is with shadow puppets. Can you do it? It's very simple. All that you need is a piece of cloth like this one. So you want something of a clear color, and you can hold it between two chairs, or you can stick it to a box. Then, behind the screen, you'll need a silhouette. You can cut a silhouette from any piece of card or cardboard, and you don't even need to paint it. The last thing that you will need is a torch, and you will put the torch behind the silhouette. So you take the silhouette, put it behind the screen in front of your audience, and the torch, you put it behind the silhouette. And there you go, you've got the characters. Can you take this challenge? I'm sure you can. Good luck with this. Bye.